everyone, I'm Carthu, and welcome back to my game room. Today is the promised video. It should have been out about a week ago, but unfortunately I got tied up. However, now we have the opportunity to redeem it and talk about the capture mechanics in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. This will be more of a rambling video where I sort of discuss my viewpoints on the capture system as a whole, what it means, is it good, is it bad, the nitty-gritty. First, let's discuss the idea of this being a downgrade, because I believe it is. I'll tell you my viewpoint right from the beginning. I don't think it's a good change. The reason I believe this is because it simplifies a system that was one of the few complex systems within Pokemon that was compelling. It is compelling to feel the need to have someone on your team with Thunder Wave, Sleep Powder, Spore, Stun Spore, any of these sort of moves that allow you to do status effects that give you a greater chance at capturing the Pokemon you desire to catch. And it made the capturing more interesting, whittling their HP down. What moves can I use without killing them? What moves can I continue to use without killing them? This did half its health. This one did a little bit more than half of its health. Now I'm in yellow, but slightly deep into yellow, so I need to use a different move, perhaps something not very effective. It changes your mentality for battle and the situation. This is an oversimplification of that system, where you instead of having this big lead up to throwing the Pokeball, you start with throwing the Pokeball, or at least throwing a berry then a Pokeball. But it doesn't really change the idea of the system in a way that is advancing it. It actually detracts. Complexity is not inherently bad, right? You could run away from those encounters. You didn't have to battle every Pokemon you ran into in the wild, and that allowed that sort of freedom. Remember being a kid and going to a legendary Pokemon, not the main legendary Pokemon of a game, right? Not the Ho-Oh or the Lugia, not the Groudon or the Kyogre, not the Dialga or the Palkia. The Pokemon that was after those, a legendary that came after. Maybe it was Giratina, maybe it was Arceus if you cheated, maybe it was Rayquaza. It was someone after these Mons that you had to go and capture. Now, you probably used your Master Ball on the Pokemon before this, so you had to go into these battles, these encounters, usually saving right before you started them because you wanted a second chance if you messed up, with a Pokemon that knew something like Spore, Hypnosis, Stun Spore, Sleep Powder, etc. Just something that gave you a little bit of an edge on that capture rate. And so you had to think about what team you brought. What's the type advantage? What's the type disadvantage? Because you want to be able to lower it down. Do you bring a Pokemon with False Swipe? Do you have a Pokemon with False Swipe? Can you get one before battling this Pokemon to get it as low as possible to get that highest percentage capture rate? What could you do to stack the odds in your favor? That was the depth of that mechanic, that capture system. And wild encounters, while not necessarily engaging every single time, they became engaging when you wanted to capture the Pokemon. When you belittle wild encounters, to the point that they are so irrelevant that capturing every single Pokemon is actually worth your while, because you get these specialized candies that help out your stats, well, it makes the entire system fall flat on its face, become a tedious, repetitive process that feels utterly and entirely necessary in order to progress the game to a higher level. So when people say grinding is gone from Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, they're wrong. Grinding is not gone. Grinding is different, and it's more tedious, and it's less engaging, but it's definitely not gone. It's actually just worse. Now you can't specific train a Pokemon unless you empty your party. Now you have to capture more Pokemon than you ever wanted to in order to get your Pokemon leveled up. Now you have to fill your boxes with Pokemon that you then have to transfer in order to get precious little candies that will increase certain stats one at a time, replacing the entire EV system, which was one of the systems that's not too terrible when it comes to competitive Pokemon and crafting competitive Pokemon. I don't want this video to be too long. No point, it's not a monetized channel, so I'm not getting any ad revenue off it if it even hits 10 minutes. The point is, there are other things wrong here as well, like the fact that it is entirely dumb for commuting. where the gyroscope would just go nuts and you'd be unable to use it. You'd have terrible issues if you had any sort of disability in your hands that doesn't allow you to freely move or throw your arms around or to turn a system around. If you're so used to using buttons, those buttons need to be accessibly usable by certain people who don't have the privilege of having a functioning body, having been born with a functioning body to play this game. You are either isolating players, or even worse, you are forgetting they exist. I'm assuming this will be addressed at some point, and perhaps they will say they have an option that you don't have to throw and flick the ball, you can just press A if you need to, and you can just flick that option on when you get the game. Well, great, I'm going to flick that option on, probably because I don't want to flick a ball every single time I want to grind out Pokemon. I want to be able to just press A, move on. I don't want to have a less engaged battling system. I don't want to have a less engaged capturing system. I want to be engaged in my gameplay. I do not want to have to force that engagement via a motion control. The motion control aspect is fine if you left the battle aspect. For all I care, throwing the Pokeball could have been in the game, the exact same way they do in Pokemon Go. All you had to do was let me battle the Pokemon first to get it to the point that I wanted to throw that ball. But instead, you strip the system of everything else, keeping the ball throwing, instead of adding the ball throwing. This is a bad system. People will defend it, probably. People will say, I liked Pokemon Go. And people have every right to think that this system is more fun and engaging than the previous system in place. You can have your own opinion on this. This is just mine. And of course, guys, I always recommend you tell me your opinions in the comments down below. Subscribe if you want more Pokemon videos. I'm going to be discussing some other things in this game franchise that I think could be done better. There definitely are some that have been going on for very long that need to be changed, in my opinion. But we'll get to those topics in other videos. Of course, as news trickles out of Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu, and eventually Generation 8, I will be trying to give it to you as quickly as possible. Thank you very much for watching. If you really want to support me, check out the Patreon. Hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I post a video. But for now, video outro.